Hey everyone, this is John Trent with Bounding into Comics, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Drew Taylor and Philip Pratt. We're going to talk about some George Lucas and Star Wars news to start off the night, and then we're going to get into some Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, and I think there's some of the Joker stuff that's going on with the Joker movie, and then is there anything else you guys want to talk about tonight that we might get to?
No, we'll just roll with it as we cover it, man.
You got some X-Men stuff going on over there, Philip, that you want to talk about? Maybe
Still
later?
I'm trying to digest everything we read today. It was pretty, today was good, but it wasn't, all that ostentatious. So it was good, though. We could talk.
Okay. So let's start off with George Lucas. If you don't know what happened with good old George, Bob Iger put out a brand new book where he kind of does like a tell-all on what happened with the process of purchasing Star Wars from George Lucas, and then kind of what they did to him when they were starting to put together The Force Awakens. And Iger actually said that Lucas felt betrayed by him in that process. And the reason why he felt betrayed was because he had sold these outlines or I don't know if they're outlines, not the right word. They were scripts for a sequel trilogy, I guess, or not scripts. It's like between outline and script. I'm blanking on the word right now. But he had sold these to Disney for the next three sequel trilogies, and then when they brought in J.J. Abrams to meet with George and Kathleen Kennedy and I think Michael Arndt, they revealed that they were not going to follow any of George Lucas's treatments. That's the word, treatments that he had put together, and they decided to go their own way with The Force Awakens, which was kind of just, which I mean is pretty much a redo of A New Hope. We just got like a giant Death Star called the Starkiller Base instead of Death Star. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. And Lucas has talked about how he's not been satisfied with the sequel trilogies. He I guess they're on a podcast from like 2016, I want to say. This guy, I think his name's Tom. I'm blanking on his last name. His first name's Tom, I'm pretty sure. He went and visited Skywalker Ranch, and while he was there, Lucas said that he did not like the sequel trilogies whatsoever. So I mean, I don't know if Lucas's treatments would have been better. I mean, his prequel trilogies got their fair share of criticism, but I think like what a lot of fans, and I'm kind of in this boat too, is that they would have liked to have seen Lucas's ideas on be put together, but like have someone else directing it, like you saw with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, where it wasn't Lucas doing everything. It was just him. Kind of putting together the story and then having someone else kind of go in and direct and do all the editing. I mean, so what do you guys make of all this?
I mean, I think they straight up did him dirty. I mean, it's pretty obvious they did him dirty because, I mean, to just blatantly disregard it and throw his stuff in the trash, it's just, man, it's terrible. Especially after like what Kathleen Kennedy said about the fact that, she's all like, oh, we're gonna be respectful of these characters, and we're gonna really make it something that Star Wars fans will enjoy, old and new. And they just basically did a complete 180, threw his stuff out and decided we're going to go with our own. And then, yeah, I mean, it was just totally wrong what they did. There was no consideration whatsoever for the lore, the source material, anything. And that oh God, that really pisses me off. It's just I know when I went to see the Force Awakens, I was kind of excited, and I kind of liked it, but you know, in the long run, it didn't feel even that movie. It didn't feel super Star Wars. It was a really good science fiction action flick. It wasn't really like it didn't feel like Star Warsy. It was sort of disjointed in spots, and then obviously after that, Ryan Johnson basically did to JJ what they did to George Lucas.
Yeah. How I saw it is, I've never been a big Star Wars fan, but when I saw The Force Awakens, I liked it fair enough. I didn't think it was a bad movie. I've always enjoyed the franchise from a distance. And after I was done with the movie, I was like, it was all right. I didn't have a big problem with anything that happened in there. But however, the second movie, I went and saw that sight on scene. I heard people talking about it. I didn't pay much attention to it. I watched the first time, and I was like, meh, wasn't that bad. And then I got it home, and I watched it again. And that's when it started to fall apart for me because I could actually sit there and pay more attention to it. Half the movie didn't make any sense, especially the parts when Finn and and Rose were off planet doing their thing. None of that made any sense or even mattered in the end. So I saw what people were getting upset over. And again, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, so I didn't have a lot invested in it. But I can see where the drop off was, and it really didn't make sense. If it was its own standalone movie, I could understand why they did what they did, but it was a sequel to something and it didn't address anything from the last movie. So what was the point, and how are you going to take this story and carry it into the third one when you still had to address everything that happened in the first one? It basically, it was completely counterproductive. It didn't make any sense as a sequel. As a standalone movie, it would have been passable, but I didn't really enjoy it after the second time I watched it. It just fell apart, and it was more fun to look at than actually to watch and try to make sense of, because you couldn't really make sense of it.
No, the problem
that's what George Lucas said. He said it was beautifully made. That was his his comments in The Last Jedi.
Pretty movie.
Yeah, like visual wise it was, but like TLJ's problem was they just gave Ryan Johnson too much latitude, and when what happened was his ego took off, and he thought he knew even better than J.J. Abrams what he the way that he was going to go. So he disregarded a lot of what Abrams put in the first movie, and that's why there was zero continuity, and that's why they've got to go through and they're, as the rumors keep coming out, as we've outlined on our site and stuff that we just continue to see around Twitter and everything, it seems like they're in panic mode, and they're basically looking to retcon a bunch of stuff and everything that happened from episode 8, and like it didn't happen because it screwed up the continuity so bad. But in the grand scheme of things, though, I mean, yeah, they completely screwed George Lucas. I can understand how he feels, but his mistake, and I always will stick with this point. I contend he made a mistake by selling and taking the first offer that came, which was a huge payday from Disney. He could have held out and saw what other bids were out there, because I'm thinking if somebody else would have got the IP, they could have done better than what Disney did. I really think so.
Yeah, I mean, and in Iger's book, he says he had a meeting with Rupert Murdoch, who's the head of Fox and Fox Films. They distributed the Star Wars films, the first 6, and in that meeting, Murdoch said he had no clue that Lucas was even looking at selling, and was like taken by surprise when that deal went down. So I think you're right. Lucas just went to he was approached by Iger and just kind of went with the first seller instead of maybe shopping it around. But I also think he did have faith with Disney. I mean, I think Iger says that Iger is the one who admits that he thought that Lucas felt betrayed. And he said that was on him for not kind of letting him know what was actually going to happen. Because the way I read those excerpts from the book, was that it sounded like they were going to. Hey Don, what's up? So they said that they were going to. It sounded like they had already had ideas on what they were going to do, and then they found out that George had these treatments, and then they're like, "We have to buy these treatments, so possibly it doesn't get out, and we have to make sure it's owned by Disney, so no one can so we can if there's any kind of like damage control or something, and our stuff doesn't work out, people can't point to these treatments as like, look, this would have been way better." That's kind of how I read a little bit of that there. From the excerpts that I've seen so far.
Wasn't there a rumor that the reason that they went with the new characters was to avoid using the old characters as much, so they wouldn't have to pay out royalties to George Lucas?
Yeah, so there is that rumor that Lucas still has some kind of deal set up where he gets royalties on certain characters if they're used in the films. I'm not really sure. That's obviously a huge rumor. So it's not really clear what all that entails because, they have Chewbacca, but we haven't, and C-3PO looks like it's going to play a significant role here in this new film, and you still have the Millennium Falcon, and but they obviously radically changed Luke Skywalker, that he's the only real character that we've kind of seen. They killed Han Solo in the first movie, so. But yeah, I'm not really sure the validity of that rumor. I think there is. It makes sense on some level. Lucas talked in Iger's words. Lucas said that he tried to get Lucas to sign a non-disparagement clause, but Lucas was like, "Nah, man. I'm going to be a huge Disney shareholder. I'm not going to be bad mouthing you." That would just be stupid. I want Disney to be I want Disney to be successful. And we haven't really seen him really say anything too horrible. He said that they didn't go with his treatments and he was disappointed. And he did call Disney white slavers. I guess that's pretty horrible. Back in 2015 when he found out that they weren't going to use his treatments. I think that proves right there. That comment proves that he thought that they were going to use his treatments, and I think Disney pretty much misled him or even lied to him, and that they're completely dismissed him.
Maybe it's like that Star Trek thing where Paramount and Viacom, they have to be 10% different so they can use it without having to pay them as much or at all. That's why the Klingons look like they do.
I think
I've heard that rumor, but that's changing because they just merged.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that. So I have some hope for this Picard series that maybe they'll do some rewrites, if not now in the second season, because I wasn't down with this 10% difference. We can talk about it, but we can't really address the new continuity, and I hated that. So
yeah, I say F the 10%. But no, I think what they should have did, and they missed a boat on this. They should have in the terms of the deal when it was getting laid out. And again, this partly falls on Lucas. He should have said, before I sign anything to sell this, I want in as a consulting executive producer or something like that. So he had. They
did bring him in. They did bring him in as a consultant. He is a consultant.
Yeah.
Whether or not they actually consult him is another thing.
He's still a consultant for Mandalorian, isn't he?
That's what I'm saying. He's a consultant, but how much is he a consultant of? Are they actually consulting him, or is he just listed as a consultant?
Well, if I were him, I like I said, I would have said, hey, I want some input, and I would have stood my ground about, I want some input. To me, he kind of just laid down for this. It's man, dude.
How much did they pay him? Was it $4 billion?
He got $4 billion.
That's a lot. Once you're throwing those kind of dollar signs around, you probably say yes to a lot of things.
Well, yeah, dude.
How I look at it, it's kind of like how Marvel negotiated their movie contracts. It was all good when it was good, but when it went bad and they wanted it back, they had to buy an entire studio to get their stuff back. And I'm saying that's why they did it, but that's what I'm saying. That's just how far it went.
Well, I thought Marvel was bankrupt, and then they sold all their stuff out.
Yeah.
And like the actual original Iron Man film was done by was still Marvel, and then Disney came in and bought it like after that, and then and it's all been Disney after that.
I believe Iron Man was done on the Paramount, right? It was distributed on the Paramount. Same thing with Captain America. That's exactly what happened. But yeah, Marvel was sinking, and they caught up. They went out and they sold out what they could to stay afloat, and they didn't know 15 years later they'd be bought by Disney, I'm sure. But the contract, I mean, you basically let go of all control of your property as long as they can continue to put out a movie every 4 years or every 2 years, something like that.
Yeah,
and that's crazy. That means you have no control. The same with Spider-Man. They have no control over their product because in their contract, because they were dying and they were desperate, they put into a contract where they lost all control of their property for God. And they didn't even put a time span like for the next 20 years, next 30 years. So they said it's kind of indefinite, which is insane to me. But when you're dying and money's being thrown at you, you say yes to some things you might not say yes to, down the line.
Well, I also think no one had any idea that superhero movies would blow up. I mean, you had the stuff in the TV shows in the 90s, and you had what was Swamp Thing, and they weren't that big, but that was also discounting advances in technology that are able to bring bring the comics to life, make that stuff look real now.
Right.
So hindsight's 2020, right?
Hindsight's 2020. But I'm not sure when that deal went down or when they started selling it, but it was probably around the same time the Blade movie came out in 97, right? I think that deal went on 95, 96 is when they did the original deal.
Yeah, I think so. You're talking about when they started selling off their properties to Sony and
New Line Cinema,
and
Sony, and Fox, and Paramount, and this fire sale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when the bubble exploded on the comics.
Correct.
It was there in the 90s, so and they were not prepared for it.
It's just like I said, it's sad the way that everything went down because I mean there's no way to recover at this point. I mean, unless they do something radical to change the direction or bring some dignity back to the brand. I mean, Star Wars is shot. It's just completely shot now.
I think I definitely agree with you when it comes to this sequel trilogy. I think the brand is definitely broken. I think Solo shows that. I think if you look at the Google trends, when you look for Rise of Skywalker, it's all flat. When you had huge peaks for Force Awakens and Last Jedi. I mean, that Last Jedi first trailer was absolutely phenomenal. I was so hyped. I thought there was going to be some awesome stuff happening, and the movie was such a letdown. But I do think that the Mandalorian. I think if the Mandalorian is really good, because that trailer was really good at D23, and the leaked footage from Star Wars Celebration was even better, which I don't know why they didn't show that at D23 because it's so much better.
I just saw that one too. Bill Burr's in it.
The leaked footage. Yeah, Bill Burr's in. He announced that when he was promoting his comedy tour that he's in it.
Bill Burr.
Yeah, he has a cameo role. He's not a stormtrooper or anything. You see his head in the trailer. He talked about that when he was promoting his Netflix special.
Yeah, which was ridiculous. I'm not sure if you guys watched that yet. It was hilarious. So.
Oh yeah, it was great. I especially the first 20, 30 minutes. I was laughing the entire time. So good. But yeah, I do think the Mandalorian. I think if the Mandalorian can be really good. Plus, it comes out before Rise of Skywalker, which I think could help Rise of Skywalker if the first five episodes or whatever. Because it's releasing weekly and its debuts November 12th.
Yeah.
So that's 5 or 6 episodes, I guess, until December 20th, which is Rise of Skywalker. It could help Rise of Skywalker if those episodes are good. And I mean, they brought in Favreau to do the story, and he launched Iron Man.
the Clone Wars will definitely make them money because everybody watches the animated Clone
Of course,
Wars. So they're not going to lose out on that. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to fix the franchise. I mean, if they have a bunch of like woke crap in the Mandalorian, man, it's
Well, it's going to be wokish.
I mean, they already have those kind of that like we saw the 2 Empire leaders, I guess, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm eternally hopeful, but I always get let down. So
yeah, you can't help but get let down now, and it's crazy.
Oh, we already have there. We've already got a nickname for the Mandalorian when it goes woke. Ma'am DeLorean.
Ma'am DeLorean, right?
That's a good one, Mark. Did you come up with that, or is someone else already come up with that?
Nice job on that, Mark.
That is one thing I am also surprised. We're seeing all of these like quote unquote leaks from Rise of Skywalker, but I'm not seeing any from the Mandalorian. They've been able to keep that under wraps. Which is interesting. I don't know. What you guys have any thoughts on that? Or is why we're seeing so many?
Like filming in the desert, it's going to be kind of hard to get a signal out unless they let you. So,
well, I know they were doing stuff in California. They built a set in California somewhere, but it might have been in the desert in California.
I mean, if a lot of the shooting's being done there, then just not. I mean, you can say what you want on your phone, but if you're not allowed to bring phones out to the set, then it's just word of mouth. So I think that would be smart. It's not like you can go live on Instagram and do some spy footage if you can't get a poll out there. So,
well,
there's no signal out in Death Valley, so
you gotta fix that. You gotta fix that, Don. You gotta start building those towers. But usually you see like stuff coming from like people who work in like these like CGI contractors or stuff like that. I know with Swamp Thing we found out about that like it got canceled from crew members who were down there in North Carolina, and they informed the local newspaper, and that's how we found out there with that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just surprised we haven't heard anything. They got the people from Marvel Studios to work security.
Oh yeah,
they must be confiscating cell phones or something because that's
probably.
They got tight security on a lot of that stuff.
All right, so do we want to move on to Joker and like what's the craziness that's happening around that movie? I just can't take it. It's just so people are just out of control.
I just saw a review on Time Magazine. They lambasted the movie as just a bunch of memes and Joaquin Phoenix's worst performance ever, and Todd Phillips is just a joke.
What was the name of the article?
This is Time Magazine.
They were.
Yeah, who wrote it? Who wrote that article?
I don't know. I just saw it on the Twitter feed, but
there was. I know when I was eating supper earlier, I know I think my mom was watching ABC News around supper time, and they had a thing on there about the Joker leading to violence. I was like, oh God.
It's the Joker.
Friggin'
there was another article of why we praise Thanos and why we hate Joker. When Thanos did something on a grander scale, but then we have all these people just saying, you know what? Thanos is right. But then Joker does something on a smaller scale and they lambast him and they say that he's an enabler of, incels and such.
Well, that's the thing. Thanos, what he did, it was so grandiose. There's just no way to actually quantify that in the real world. So it was more fantasy based.
Right.
But Joker, that's intimate, and the stuff that he gets into can feasibly be done in real life. And these nut jobs are getting upset over a origin story of the Joker. I mean, what were they expecting exactly? I mean, he's a villain. He's one of the worst villains without having a superpower in all of history of comics. I mean, what were you expecting? He takes fun out of killing people. It's a joke to him. People dying makes him laugh. What were you expecting from a movie where this man comes to his own?
Preach. I have no idea. I mean, we discussed with like freaking comic book editors are some of the ones who are like taking issue with this. It's insane.
It's because the movie doesn't play nice with the narrative, because they dared to have a white character. They dared to have like a reserved awkward type of guy, and everybody wants to be so quick as to be like, see, look, that's the sit in your mom's basement incel culture. Everybody wants to like jump on that train, all the crazies. And it's like, man, those of us that think with common sense, obviously we know the difference. We know that the movie is a social commentary and nothing more. It's not, meant to inspire violence, but, obviously the woke crusaders are going to be like coming out of the woodwork on this thing, because it's against everything that they hold dear, supposedly.
So Mark asks, did you hear about the military being told to be on alert for shootings at the Joker screenings? So yeah, Jorge did a story about that today. They issued a letter to it was the U.S. Army issued a letter because they got they got tipped off by the FBI, and they were actually saying that it could be like a copycat from the Aurora shooting, and then they specifically mentioned incels being the ones who might commit this act of violence. This might be a conspiracy theory, but like it sounds like PR for the film. Like stir up some controversy, get people talking, get more people in the theaters.
Who gets to decide who's an incel or not? That's such a in mess. Oh my god.
No, let's see. Let's see. Let's go down the list. Let's see the alphabet people, the feminists, the
alphabet people.
Yeah,
stole that from Chappelle.
Yeah, he did.
Well, it's the only way to put it in a nice way.
Alphabet people, incels. Jeez.
Yeah,
it's silly.
It is. It's absolutely silly. And then you also have people who are trying to like score political points with all that's going on. You had a couple members, family members from victims of Aurora who sent out a letter to Warner Brothers. Had nothing to do with like trying to like stop the film or anything like that. They just wanted Warner Brothers to start enacting like pushing for gun control. But then you also had other family members who were like, my daughter would never approve of that letter. So you had like kind of like competing people like from the family members about that. And then Warner Brothers actually responded to the letter. So let me see here if I can bring it up. Here it is. So Warner Brothers responded to these. It was like 4 family members from the Aurora shooting, and one was actually like just a witness. Was like a family member of a witness who was, I guess they were in the theater when the attack happened. And so Warner Brothers, this is what they had to say. It's a little long, but they said, quote, "Gun violence in our society is a critical issue, and we extend our deepest sympathy to all victims and families impacted by these tragedies. Our company has a long history of donating to victims of violence, including Aurora, and in recent weeks, our parent company, which is AT&T, joined other business leaders to call on policymakers to enact bipartisan legislation to address this epidemic. At the same time, Warner Brothers believes that one of the functions of storytelling is to provoke difficult conversations around complex issues. Make no mistake, neither the fictional character Joker nor the film is an endorsement of real-world real world violence of any kind. It is not the intention of the film, the filmmakers, or the studio to hold this character up as a hero. Like, I just think the fact that they're having to address that kind of stuff is, like, it's silly. Like you said, Philip, it's absolutely silly. It's absolutely ridiculous that you're having this major film studio that's produced plenty of violent films having to suddenly have to address why they made a violent film. It's the same talking point of, like, people trying to say that, like, if you watch violent video games, it's somehow going to inspire real world violence when the data shows the complete opposite.
Well, that's exactly it, John. People are mentally unhinged. They're just mentally unhinged. They're going to do, if they're bound and determined to commit, a crazy random act of violence, they're going to commit a crazy random act of violence. Just nothing you could do about it. I mean, maybe there's like small triggers, but I mean, to just sit there and generalize video games or generalize movies as that trigger, I mean, you don't know because everybody's got different triggers, everybody's got different things. It just, it's silly, but you ask somebody that is on mainly the extreme left thinking side of things, they're going to tell you, oh yes, this triggers everything. This is a problem that causes violence, blah, 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 and they're just going to come up with a reason why. But, if you think, if you actually have self-identity and think, and don't think with the goofy narratives, you will see clearly that that is not the case.
Yeah, it's instead of going after the issue, which it sounds like a mental health issue, you're worrying about. If someone's using the word incels, that means they spend a lot of time on Twitter to begin with, and that means you're saying people should look out for people that they disagree with, either politically or on terms of entertainment, depending on what side of the fence you're on. Let's worry about those people instead of someone that's down the street that might already have a history of mental illness. But how can you pick out from a crowd of people who's going to do what? How do you look for an incel? What does an incel look like? Come on, man.
No, supposedly they're lonely single men that are not really attractive and don't stand out, supposedly, according to the way that they profile them.
So pretty much like all of the male population.
So based on opinion,
the minorities.
It's an opinion of whoever. I'm not attracted to you. You're an incel. You don't like Captain Marvel.
A lot of comic book readers in that crowd, then.
Well, think about this, you guys. I mean, if you look at it now, there's a lot of times. I mean, you could just be standing in line at McDonald's, and you glance off to the side and happen to see an attractive lady. If you look over her direction for 5 seconds, she's liable to just tweet out. She's liable to tweet out on social media, "Oh my God, I'm standing in line at McDonald's next to this guy. He creeped on me."
No, it's the TSA agent who asked you for your number.
You're wrong, Drew. You're wrong, Drew. There's no pretty women at McDonald's.
Well, I'm just using. You're right, but I'm just using the example of being out in public. I mean, you can just be in the supermarket, doing your shopping, happen to glance over, and somebody will think, you're a quote unquote creeper because you looked at them for a second.
They're going to be at Whole Foods.
Whole Foods or Chipotle.
Yeah.
Chipotle, nice. Oh God, man. God love you, Phil.
So I actually thought that Todd Phillips had a really good response. So he's the Joker director. He was asked by IGN at the press junket in Los Angeles. I guess it was like a couple days ago. And so this is what he had to say. He said, I really think there have been a lot of think pieces written by people who proudly state they haven't even seen the movie and they don't need to. And then he added, I would just argue that you might want to watch the movie. You might want to watch it with an open mind. The movie makes statements about a lack of love, childhood trauma, lack of compassion in the world. I think people can handle that message. And then he would say, well, so let's just talk about that right now before we get to the next part. I think he's right. I think a lot of these people who are talking about Joker haven't even seen the film. It's not out yet. There's only been a couple of critics that have seen it. I think there's probably about 100 critics on Rotten Tomatoes. And you're seeing all these think pieces about people like describing the film and like what it's about, and I don't think they actually have seen it. I think he's completely right on that.
Yeah, I think he's right about that too. But I mean, you also have to look at the way the way that professional critics are these days. I mean, there really aren't a whole lot of actual Gene Siskel, Robert Ebert, or Roger Ebert type critics anymore. It's like, critics now are like activists. That they're not actually critics.
Yeah.
So you're not getting an actual critical breakdown of a movie. You're getting a socio-political breakdown of a movie. So that's why you can't trust anything that critics say now, because usually when they say something sucks, it means it's good.
Well, typically, I mean, isn't that where the access media term comes from? People are afraid to actually, not afraid, but they just choose not to. They don't want to share their actual opinion out of fear of losing the access to the media that they're commenting on. So it's kind of like it goes, and Disney has such a stranglehold on so much of the larger pieces of media and things that we intake that you have to review it a certain way or risk not getting early access or maybe getting your video demonetized because they put a strike on it because you're not part of the right crowd. And that's one of the reasons people aren't really happy with Disney and how they're gobbling everything up. You can't give your honest opinion anymore. And if you do, it's not even just about the studios you got to worry about. It's about the Twitter mobs. And I mean, it's one thing after another. It requires some courage, and courage isn't, in high demand these days. Everyone seems to be afraid of upsetting other people. So.
I think you're completely right there. And I saw a clip of Sarah Silverman at the Emmys on the red carpet, and she was talking about how she was disappointed that there weren't any more they weren't having hosts for these award shows anymore, and how it sucks. But then what was interesting, she said no one wants to do them anyways because they're just going to get destroyed on social media and by the Twitter mobs if they do any kind of jokes that offend people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right on the ball there, and it's not just like the critics. You're seeing it in the with comedians too, and that's Sarah Silverman, who used to have some courage back when she had her Comedy Central show.
Hey, I see what Mark said. The Mark and Trey got me cracking up, man, because they came up with
equals
how Mark says, can you go from being an outcel to being an incel? It's like, yeah, dude, go to the seminary and take the priestos. You'd be a real incel.
But
gonna make $1 million on that.
Super left though, right? She voted for Bernie. She voted for.
Oh God, yes, he is.
Yeah, so I mean, if she's having a problem in today's really critical society, that's really telling about. I remember Jerry Seinfeld, way back in the day, talking about how he couldn't go to college campuses anymore because they wouldn't allow his jokes.
Well, people think God, there was some place, Don, that I read something like people were riding Jerry Seinfeld's case now. They think that Seinfeld was like promoting white nationalism or something. I'm serious. I'm not even kidding.
I think I saw something like that. I just ignored it because it was just so stupid.
I was like, are you serious? Who takes the time to write stuff like this? I'm serious, man.
I had someone send me this article today. Where is it? Yeah, it's called Incels in Space. And they basically were
Ad Astra?
No, this was about the
Sorry.
I did not get that from your review. Holy crap. No, this was about the USS Callister from the season 4 Black Mirror season 4. And they were just talking about how that was just like a parallel to incel culture or whatever. It's just I stopped reading the article because it was just absolute nonsense. But people they continually to churn out these nonsense, absolute nonsense articles.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. It just that I have to say, and I'm not sitting here and just giving us a free pat on the back. I mean, even though bounding into comics is awesome, and everybody should read us, but the thing is we have 4 talented individuals here right now that are not afraid to write what they feel and write with fact. We don't sit there and hold back. We don't sit there and bow to the narrative. We write stuff and we have the courage to say what needs to be said. If something sucks, we call it out and say it sucks. If something's good, we give it the due praise that it deserves. And that's the thing. People don't do that now. Everybody is going according to the chosen narrative. That's like, you must be PC and you must, embrace the forced diversity that's being put upon you. It's like, no, you don't have to. You can just accept everybody for who they are, plain and simple. It doesn't have to be forced on you. So, and that's the thing, man. We don't subscribe to the forced narrative. So because we don't, we're looked down upon by the, by the people that write for those other publications. We won't name them, but I don't know. Most of them start with V, like Vox Vice. But yeah.
No, I love it personally because I've been in a couple of Twitter arguments with them, and as soon as I make my point, they stop talking and they mute me or they block me. And typically they just block me. I'm like, okay, I win, but I don't go to the point where they're real fast to go to name calling, and I don't really understand that. And what they don't like is when they see who I am and they see that I'm not agreeing with them, they are flabbergasted and they don't know how to respond, so they just stop responding in general.
Exactly, Phil. Exactly, because you shattered the narrative, homie.
So
that's why.
No, if they're going after you, it's free advertising.
Oh, I love it. It doesn't bother me
none. Yeah, there was this whole article on Inverse going after Doomcock. If you don't know who he is,
I read that.
I read that.
And it read just like that Mary Sue article. I don't know, it was a couple months ago that targeted us as well, and they were just telling people to block us and it just read like that. They're trying to tell people not to go and watch these people, and it's just like, all right, well, I'm going to go watch them now because you're telling me I shouldn't be able to watch them. What's so bad about these? What's so bad about what these guys are saying? And then people come here and they come here and they're like, oh, these people are great. I totally agree. I mean, there's nothing wrong here. Having a good conversation.
Yeah, see that's I read that article too. I actually sent Doomcock a DM earlier today, and I was like, dude, um, I appreciate what you do and everything, and I told him, I was like, look, what this guy wrote was not journalism. It was, if anything, it was a disgrace to the profession. I mean, and that's the thing, man. If you shouldn't, there should be some accountability. I mean, where to be able to just be allowed to like write a flat out hit piece about somebody. I mean, that's not cool. You shouldn't. Oh man, you should have. There should be some accountability there, and what that guy wrote about Doomcock was quite unfair. Because I know Doomcock's over the top. I know he's in character. I know he has a stick, but when he's out of character, and I've seen him on Gary streams talking before.
Yeah, the Inquisition.
Yeah, I mean, he's a down to earth dude, man, and he doesn't deserve this. And yeah, the guy that wrote that about him, I'm not afraid to say that dude is a hack. I actually tweeted at the guy and told him he was a hack.
I'm actually looking forward to Doomcock's like official response. He put out like a 6-minute video saying he didn't have time to like get the real one out, and he's gonna take some time to like really go through the guy's article. And I'm really looking forward to it because I mean, I just find Doomcock his shtick is like just hilarious to me. And like he has like Harvey Cthulhu that he can just like unleash to like destroy the world. I just think it's just funny, and I just love all the sci-fi elements and the production value that he has. I hope he like fully embraces that when he responds to this guy.
I like Doomcock stuff. I like Doomcock stuff because it reminds me of that thing that's missing, like just like back in the like late 80s, early 90s. We had like they would have like you'd be sitting there watching cable, whatever. They have like a late night show, and they'd have like some really over the top movie host for that night, like Elvira.
Like Space Ghost.
Yeah, exactly. And Doomcock has that with this character, and I like that because he has that vibe going on. Yeah, and I really love that about it. And he's not hurting anybody. He's just being passionate about the stuff he likes. And frankly, he's just saying what everybody else is thinking. Because those of us with common sense, it's like I said, we're not sitting here like spellbound under the spell of the narrative. So we're just like, okay, I understand what he's saying because it's true. This sucks.
Yeah, and I think the bigger issue is that the guy was calling him out, and he has no idea if he's just calling him out based off of a rumor that that Doomcock said. He has no idea if that rumor is true or not. That happened to us today. It was yesterday, I think. Someone was on Twitter. They didn't like that we ran our Power Rangers Transformers crossover rumor. And they were just like hating on us, and I'm just like, dude, it's a rumor. Like that's what a rumor is. Like we're not trying to mislead you and saying that this is happening. We're just like it says in the title, rumor.
Is it really that hard to believe? They're both owned by Hasbro. You don't think there's going to be some corporate synergy going on there? You don't think they've thought about? It's not a far-fetched rumor.
Yeah,
they already have the crossover in the comics that they did with IDW a couple years ago. They didn't have Power Rangers at the time, but they did Transformers, Micronauts, Mask. They had all those in a comic crossover.
I mean, yeah, I'd rather it not happen personally, but it's their prerogative to do it, and if there's money to be made, they're going to make that money. So
if they include some of the stuff, out of the last Power Rangers movie because I actually liked the last Power Rangers movie.
I didn't have a huge problem with it. I thought it was cool. I mean, it had some. I had an issue with the donuts all through the movie, but I enjoyed it enough. I'm a huge Power Ranger guy. I have a crate upstairs full of old Zords that I just keep in this crate wrapped in plastic, and a few of them are worth money. I didn't know that, but I'm a huge Power Ranger guy. So.
If they would get the dude that did the Power Rangers,
get you some Power Ranger stories then,
and they get the dude that did the last Bumblebee movie, they could be onto something because the guy that I'm a big Transformers fan, and the guy that did the Bumblebee movie, he used a lot of the Generation 1 Transformer concepts, which was.
I saw that. I didn't see the movie yet, but I saw that, and I'm a Transformers guy too. I got.
And if they did a G1 and current Power Rangers crossover, I mean that would be pretty awesome.
Add in the GI Joes for a good measure.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
GI Joe Transformers team up,
isn't it?
Oh yeah, they had a successful run because they had a GI Joe Transformers crossover when I was a kid because I religiously read the GI Joe comics because Larry Hama did those, and
I think they're doing a Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover right now.
And
I saw something like that.
Power Rangers JLA thing a few months ago.
Yeah, they did. I think that was like last year. I think they did all those cool. IDW did all those cool crossovers with the DC stuff. You had the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You had the Star Trek Green Lantern. That was awesome. I love that series. That was so good. You had Khan become a Red Lantern.
But yeah, back in that G.I. Joe Transformers crossover was badass in the comics.
It makes sense. I mean, the two franchises are comparable, even though, in my opinion, I don't see how the G.I. Joes would survive an altercation with a Transformer if they're really trying to get at them. Power Rangers, I can understand them maybe surviving because they're super powered things, but G.I. Joe, I have an issue believing that. I mean, it's just not human being, giant robot. How long are you really gonna last? I don't know.
I thought Transformers always had they teamed up with the humans to fight the Decepticons.
Yeah, but the Decepticons are probably going to go after Cobra and get them involved. I mean, then you have again.
There you go.
Fighting giant robots. It's like, how long? Well, they did it in the movies, and that was nonsense too. So,
Starscream teams up with Cobra to try and take down Megatron, and you have the bad guys double crossing each other. It's already there.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Captain Planet shows up, and then
oh yeah, dude! I it would be fun. I would go watch it.
It would be a mess.
Toys together now. That's all we're doing. We got a toy box, just mashing our toys together.
Hey, that Hasbro's a toy company first, so. And I do think, from what I understand, after they bought the reason why they bought Power Rangers was I don't like this look. Okay. There, let's go there. The reason why they bought Power Rangers is because they did that new Power Rangers toy line and they made a killing off of it.
It's dope. I'm tempted to buy some. I would have to put up in the house. I don't think I can do that when the guests come over while I have Power Rangers on my wall. Because I got a couple pops, but Goliath and Raw You, that's as far as I'm gonna go. But if I go and get Zach or Jason, I'm gonna have to put them up, and I'm not sure if I can explain that to all my adult friends. So
let's get back a little bit. So I want to get back to this what Todd Phillips with the Joker quote. So this is what he said about the people, about the critics and their violence. He said, "It's so, to me, bizarre when people say, 'Oh well, I could handle it, but imagine if you can't.' It's making judgments for other people, and I don't even want to bring up the movies in the past that they said this about, because it's shocking and embarrassing when you go, 'Oh my God, do the right thing.' They said that about that movie too." And then he added, "To me, art can be complicated, and oftentimes art is meant to be complicated. if you want uncomplicated art, you might want to take up calligraphy, but filmmaking will always be a complicated art. I am impressed that he's like pushing back, and I'm glad that he is, because so many times we saw this with Quentin Tarantino when he was at that press junket for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that one reporter asked him about Margot Robbie's like screen time or whatever, and he's like, "No, I disagree with your assertion," and just like kind of shut her down. And I'm glad that we're starting to see a little bit more of that, and I'm glad he pushed back on that.
What? So okay, so what was the? She was talking about violence and how film inspired. Films in Hollywood inspired violence. I'm trying to remember where he went off on her.
Are you talking about Phillips?
Oh no, Tarantino.
No, she was. So with Tarantino, the reporter was asking about why Margot Robbie's character didn't have a lot of screen time.
Oh, I'm thinking way back then. Okay, never mind.
But Tarantino's always getting criticized for the violence in his films too.
Yeah.
So.
At some point, you're just gonna have to ignore that because that's Tarantino's style. I mean, what are you expecting? Brown sugar or something, or honey, or he's gonna produce a dance movie or something. This Quentin Tarantino, his brand is hyper violence. This is what it is, and just complain about something that matters.
I was expecting Joker to like be a babysitter and take care of little children and nurse them. That's what I was.
I mean, come on, man. What do y'all want? It's the joke, and it's Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, what did y'all expect from a Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie? What was it gonna be about? Did y'all expect the Batmobile and squirting flowers and what? I mean, it was gonna be grittier and down to earth and visceral, and it should be. It's the origins of the Joker. If you understand what the Joker is, he is insanity made flesh. I mean, I think I said that backward, but
that's right. Insanity made flesh. You got it right.
To have someone like that exist, something has to happen prior, and it is not just my girlfriend left me. No, it's a long string of damaging life decisions and experiences that molded this person into this big ball of insanity. That it's the Joker, man. It's what is the problem? I don't understand the issue here. If you whatever they were expecting, if they didn't get that, it's on them. It's at a certain point you're accountable. You got to be accountable for your own actions. If you went to go see a movie and you didn't like it, it's not something wrong with society. It's just your taste in movies. You didn't dig it. Let it go. It's not something deeper than that.
I think you're on a point there. I think a lot of people, if they don't like a movie, they take a personal issue with it. Like instead of just like, oh, I didn't like that movie, I'll go find a movie that I do like. Maybe the next one will be better, or maybe I'll go see something I like. It's a personal like they take it personally that they personally didn't like the movie maybe when someone else did.
It's people getting more violent throughout his film history, being in films, because I remember going way back to the series. It was just a very, very PG Joker, and then it got into that PG-13 realm with Jack Nicholson, and then it started getting darker and more violent. And then
I would argue that Jack Nicholson's Joker might have been more violent than Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean,
really?
I mean, Jack Nicholson was more of a clown with it. He was more, he was a louder character. He was way a wackier character. Heath Ledger was more of a mentally unstable, kind of ironic character, and he did some things, but the stuff that Jack Nicholson's character did was kind of like personal to people around him, and Heath Ledger was more like he did the pencil trick. He blew up an empty building. He
burned a pile of money.
Yeah, I mean, he
Well,
cut.
there was an Asian guy on top of the money.
Yeah. I mean, it was that.
And I mean the bank robbery, but Jack Nicholson, he murdered Bruce Wayne's parents in the Batman '89. He decided that he was going to.
You did a guy with a hand buzzer, right? When
Yeah, he
Yeah,
killed the guy with the
shooting
hand.
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, he, and then at the end of the movie, he was killing everyone in Gotham with his Joker toxin.
He came closer to doing that than Ra's al Ghul did it in Batman Begins. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, yeah, in the series, Joker was again he was more a nuisance. From Jack Nicholson up, I would say the Joker, there was parts of Joker in the animated series that he did some stuff that I mean, you can't really say that he's harmless at this point. The Joker hasn't been harmless for a very long time. And to say that where he is from there and where he is, what he was to what he's become is some kind of difference, I wouldn't say so. I haven't seen the movie, of course, but from what I can tell, he's unsettled. But I mean, it's the Joker. What the hell were they expecting? So.
Yeah, from what I understand, there was some leaks of the movie. I haven't seen it myself, but in that scene where he shows up at that Robert De Niro's show, from what I understand, he gasses the crowd.
Yeah, so that's a callback to Dark Knight Strikes Again, right?
Yeah. From
Frank Miller's. Yeah, that's what I mean, when I saw the trailer, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. He's going to kill all of those people in that TV show.
There was nothing good coming of that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember in the comic, they're bringing him out there to say he's like been rehabilitated, and then he ends up just like killing them all. It's like, haha, joke's on you.
But yeah, I would love to see what kind of level of violence this Joker comes to, where people are saying that they shouldn't see this movie compared to those other iterations of Joker.
I think go ahead.
Go ahead, Phil. You go ahead.
I think it's going to just be, again, I said earlier, it's going to just more intimate stuff that we've maybe seen in the media, but from what I can tell, it's not fantastical. So you're talking about stabbings and poisoning and things that you could possibly see in real life, and people are freaking out that someone might want to copy this. It's like, you can. I mean, if you're worried about that, then why aren't you protesting The Purge, the TV show that's coming on every other day? I mean, it starts next month? I mean, come on, there's other things to worry about than that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in your face, very personal, like you said, intimate. I think my guess is there's probably going to be something with Zazie Beetz' character and his mom. Those are the ones where they look from the trailer. Those looks like he's going to have some like close relationships to them, and he's probably going to do some really nasty things to them. And that might be kind of what we're seeing when people are talking about when they're like kind of appalled by the violence in the film. That's just my guess.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time we see anything like this. Like, for instance, that Darth Vader solo in his book when he killed the fangirl, and people were really upset about that because I'm not sure what they were upset about. It's freaking Darth Vader. Yeah, he murdered. I mean, again, they're surprised when villains act like villains. I don't get it, and I don't really understand it or what the outrage is coming from. I think it's when they can see themselves in the characters is when it starts to hit home for them. They identify with the victim, and when they feel bad, which is actually the entire point of drama. If you're getting an emotional reaction from what you're watching or taking in from, if the entertainment you're taking is affecting you, whoever wrote it did their job properly. And I don't think people quite understand that. If it elicits an emotional reaction, they did their job. So again, what are we upset about?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Phillips said here. He's like, art can be complicated, and oftentimes art is meant to be complicated. I think you hit it right on the button there.
Yeah, well said, Phil. Absolutely.
All right. So, do we have any final comments about Joker? We're kind of done, and we'll come back to it after we've seen it.
Yeah.
I wish I could see it early. That's
You're not Access Media. No.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Captain Marvel? She was awesome, right? Best thing ever.
That's exactly where we're gonna go next. We got a Captain Marvel 2 rumor. I don't know. It kind of just dropped right before we came on stream.
God.
So apparently, Captain Marvel 2. This rumor is that they're going to introduce Richard Ryder Nova in Captain Marvel 2, and the main villain is going to be Varanki, and they're going to do Secret Wars. She's going to be Varanki's the Skrull Empress, I believe is her title.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see her in Dark Phoenix. That was the first rumor.
Yeah, I honestly think that might have been the character that Smith or what I didn't watch Dark Phoenix yet
Either.
I don't think a lot of people did, given its box office. But I do think that's probably, from what I understand, it sounded like that they radically they made a lot of changes to that film at the last minute, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly who she was supposed to be. But I mean,
totally fits in. Shapeshifter, really powerful, has great technology. I don't know how harnessing the power of the Phoenix would fit into that, but
it wasn't the Phoenix. Remember that they called her the kids called
whatever it
was. Cosmic energy field that.
Galactus. Yeah. It was Galactus again.
Oh no! You mean Fantastic Four fart? Yeah. No.
Fart cloud.
Yeah. No.
But
never again.
So okay, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson is going to be in Star Wars, from what I understand. And then John's muted. So, Drew, you want to fill us in on what you heard about this?
Oh God!
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, sorry.
Is she really going to be in?
Had to get taken out.
Is she really going to be in Star Wars?
No, I don't think so. That was a joke. That was a joke, right?
I hope it's a joke. I mean,
if they put Brie Larson in Star Wars, man, that's going to be the final nail in the coffin.
I honestly don't. I don't think it's a joke. I think they've been hinting at this since Captain Marvel, all the promotion. So the latest rumor is from We Got This Covered, and they're saying that Disney and Lucasfilm want to put Brie Larson in a Star Wars movie, and she would be the lead in a Star Wars movie, and it would be either Rian Johnson's trilogy or the Game of Thrones guys, like Star Wars movies.
Oh yeah, I have
an unfounded theory with no basis whatsoever. What if, because they don't believe in the next Marvel Captain Marvel movie is going to do well, that they're trying to fulfill her contract in another franchise? Because they sign on for multiple movies. If everything's under the same studio, what if they're just trying to get around having to give her X amount of screen time in the MCU and putting her elsewhere?
That's a theory.
That's a possibility.
It's weird. It's like saying that we have no confidence in her character in one film, but we're going to put her in another film that's also struggling, and you're going to kill yourself on both fronts, and it's not going to work.
There will literally be a rebellion.
I'm going to shoot myself in one foot, and then I'm going to aim at the other one. And
if she's in Star Wars, there will be a rebellion. Oh my God! Oh, and what's worse, on a personal note, my God, if they put her in the Knights of the Old Republic stuff, if they do oh my God, if they cast her as Bastila, I'm gonna rage, dude. I am gonna rage.
Burn down the edge of the galaxy.
I will. Oh, I will absolutely rage.
Okay,
we'll have content for years, though.
If they bring Knights of the Old Republic back, but they have Brie Larson as a minor character,
Then I hope Revan kills her.
Yeah, she's like a Jedi who gets killed in the in the Civil War. Like first scene when they
that would
Revan.
be fine. That would be great. I'd be like, yes, finest Brie Larson performance ever if they did that.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, so like they've been like she's been building this up. I definitely think it's part of the promotion. She said she wanted to be a Jedi when she was on the Captain Marvel press tour, and then she like did that whole sit down with Samuel L. Jackson where he brought in his lightsaber, and they had it on the set of Captain Marvel, and like she was using it. What's that?
That didn't sound weird at all.
Well, that's like it didn't when she said it. It didn't sound weird.
Brought in his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, she was playing with it. And then she was like one of the premier guests at Disneyland when they opened Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at that cantina. And then after she was there, the Ahsoka Tano voice actress was just fawning all over her and admiring her and everything.
That made me sick.
It's just, I mean, it's there. Like, all the steps are being built. So I would not be surprised if that's what they want to do. And I mean, Disney seems to be doubling down on stupid lately. So I mean, that just seems to be their MO now.
Yeah, I could just see us having one of these panels, and I just rage. Like I'll need like full on blood pressure meds while we do it.
You'll become Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One.
Pretty much.
But yeah, so Mark makes a good point. Yeah, I think Brie Larson can't be in the same movie as Rey because they would cancel each other out.
Pretty much it, dude.
Yeah,
you're spot on, Mark. That's a good comment right there.
Overwhelming.
Oh my god, that's a great comment.
Yeah.
But okay, so we saw there was going to be 3 main things that they're going to cover for all of the Star Wars. It's going to be, all right, John, you fill it in. So it's going to be the 2 dudes that were in Rogue One.
Oh, for Disney Plus? Yeah. K2SO and Cassian Andor.
Yeah, so that's going to be during the, Rebellion phase?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a Rogue One prequel. I mean, I assume. I mean, you probably know more about that because you were there at D23, but they haven't really. It doesn't seem like they're really doing much with that yet. Yeah,
and then they're doing Ben Kenobi, which is also going to be in that Rebellion era, and then that
one assumes that it'll take place after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, and then the last Rise of Skywalker will be in that last phase. And then what's after that is supposed to be what Brie Larson is supposedly going to be in.
Well, the rumor didn't really say where it was going to take place. I know there's rumors about both Rian Johnson and Game of Thrones doing KOTOR. Who knows? I don't even know if they definitely confirmed that the Game of Thrones folks are doing the next movie, which is 2022. And they're working on a treatment. So the Hollywood Reporter said that they're writing a script for the first movie and then writing treatment for a trilogy. But when they originally announced it was supposed to be a series of films, which was different from when they announced Rian Johnson, they specifically said trilogy. But literally, there's been 0 updates on Rian Johnson's trilogy, and it's been 2 years, almost more than 2 years. We're closing in on more than 2 years. Like, I get 2017 was Last Jedi, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're closing in on 2 years now from that. And then Kathy Kennedy said that Rian Johnson and Game of Thrones people are working together. When they originally announced the Game of Thrones series, they were they made it clear that they were not the same and they were separate. It was Rian Johnson trilogy was separate from the Game of Thrones. series. So who knows what's going on? I mean, I did a video about it. I don't know. I guess it was a little over an hour, 2 hours ago. And I just think they have no idea what they're doing over there right now.
Yeah, one hand doesn't know what the other's doing.
Especially when it comes to their films. I definitely think they might have a little bit more. They have a little bit better idea of what they're doing with their TV stuff because they've got the Mandalorian going, and I think the K2SO thing could be good just because K2SO is basically the best thing that Disney's created with Star Wars so far.
And then what about Kenobi?
I think they brought out Kenobi and Ewan McGregor just to kind of like make it seem like they know what they're doing. I don't know if they actually have a plan in place. I think they said that they had written like a couple scripts already, but I mean, George Lucas had written a treatment for a sequel trilogy and they threw that in the trash. So
yeah, see, I think they just put in the Kenobi thing just to try to pander to disgruntled fans right now, but I don't think that it's going to be anywhere toward what people expect it to be. I think zero faith in Disney.
Kenobi's going to be really hard for them to do. I mean, after Revenge of the Sith, he was watching over Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. I mean, they touched on his story in Rebels where Maul comes to Tatooine and they have like a final duel. So I'm not really sure what's going to be happening. Is like we're going to see like I know there was like the rumor for like a young Luke Skywalker. Possibly we see that happening with like that might actually be part of the Obi-Wan thing where maybe he's training a young Luke and using some kind of like Jedi mind trick so Luke doesn't actually remember anything, but he's able to like learn the motor skills and stuff of the Jedi from a young age. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to go on with Kenobi. The only thing that I understand from what I've seen is here's my crazy. What if they just do a bunch of weird spin-offs because of the success of The Mandalorian?
I wouldn't have a problem with that. Like I said, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I enjoy the series quite a bit. The Mandalorian trailer looked ridiculously good. So if that's the feel they're going for, if that's the tone they're going for in that universe, something we haven't really seen. I'm interested. I'm already on board for The Mandalorian, especially if they're talking about bundling Disney Plus with Hulu, which I already have, and I get to go on ESPN Plus too. I'm already in on all that. But yeah, The Mandalorian caught my attention. I wasn't waiting on pins and needles for it or anything like that. But when I saw it, I was impressed, and I'm looking forward to it. So if that's the quality they're putting out, I'm on board. So.
I heard something like it was like $15 million an episode.
Yeah, I heard something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Damn.
It looks like it too, to be honest.
I would kind of, if they were doing crazy spinoffs, I would rather have them do like Darth Maul, the crime lord from, the whole vibe from the Solo thing. Have like, Darth Maul running around with the exchange or whatever.
I think there was a rumor about that too.
That would be kind of wicked, man.
I think I saw a rumor about that. I mean, they could possibly explore that in the Cassian Andor K2SO thing. Maybe maybe not. I don't know. Maul gets killed during the rebellion, so it's possible because it's in Star Wars Rebels. But yeah, no, I actually think that like there's a lot of potential with Mandalorian with the characters that they got. Taika Waititi's IG-10, I think, or IG-11 or whatever it is. That looks like IG-88. That could be fun. They've got what's her name? Gina Carano's character could be could be interesting. Spin off, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure we'll meet a lot of different characters aside from
Bill Burr's
the main
character.
core cast. Yeah, Bill Burr. Who knows, man? We got a comedy Star Wars.
Well, you had Simon Pegg in there already, and you barely knew it was him. So it's probably going to be something along those lines. Like he's there, but they got to tell you who he is. So
Yeah.
like James Bond. What's his name? Craig. Daniel Craig. That's
Daniel Craig. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy tightening her raised restraints, and you don't know unless they tell you because he's got a helmet on. So I don't see the point. But it could be one of those situations you're not going to know unless they tell you who it is. So
that was actually one of the better cameos in Star Wars. Actually, a Daniel Craig cameo. It wasn't bad.
It could have been anyone. I mean, you tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a bit part, but it was pretty funny, especially after the fact when you found out it was Daniel Craig, and it's just like
I'm sitting trying to listen for his voice. I'm like, it's digitized. It's like, first of all, his head he's covered completely, and then he digitized his voice. It's like, okay, you say it's him, I believe you. So.
Super Jordan Review says, "Am I the only person who actually likes the new Star Wars movies and Captain Marvel?" Oh, that's I have to say, dude, you're definitely in a minority here. And to be fair, bro, I will not crap all over your opinion, but I will say this. All right, the reason that I support personally the hashtag Fandom Menace is that I agree with the fact that a lot of the new stuff is way too woke and has too much political narrative, and I like when I see my entertainment, I like something to be faithful to the source material, be substance, have some substance to it, to where it keeps me thinking and on the edge of my seat. I don't want something that takes a moral high ground and preaches to me. And I feel that's like what especially they did with TLJ and things like that. And Captain Marvel was really, 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 to me, when I saw it, I felt like it was sort of a slap in the face towards men. And again, that's my opinion. And I know that you have a different opinion if obviously you liked it, but that's the reason it was such a turnoff for me. It was hard for me to get through that movie. And to be honest, like just separating that part of it, I didn't feel like Captain Marvel was that great of a movie. Brie Larson's just not a good actress, in my opinion.
I gotta disagree there. She is not a good actress, but as an actress, I have to say, like, did you watch Room, the movie Room? What did she won the Academy Award for?
Yeah, she was good in that.
And that's the only real movie I've seen of her, other than that small part she had in Scott Pilgrim. But that movie, I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and I was very impressed with her from there. At the same time, after watching that and heard she was going to be Captain Marvel, I was like, hell no, that doesn't even make sense. Carol Danvers has always been portrayed as mid to late 30s, more of a mature colonel type. She and this little 5'3" high pitched low tone thing doesn't fit the role. And for you, Super Jordan, it's not the fact that we dislike the movies, it's the fact that we're shamed for not liking something. I didn't dislike Captain Marvel, the movie, that much, but I didn't like it either, and that's not good from a standpoint of their narrative. If you didn't love it, you're an incel, and that's a problem. And I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. It was somewhere in the middle, and it's not the worst Marvel movie, and it's nowhere near even the middle. It's somewhere at the bottom where it needs to stay, because it wasn't that great a movie. It was a meh kind of movie, and by saying that, we're hurting their cause for whatever reasons. We're not allowed to have an opinion about something that we're consuming, that we're paying money to see, but we can't say anything negative about it, and because then we're setting something back, which is ridiculous. As for the Star Wars movie, again, I liked the first one. And the first time I watched the second one, I didn't have a problem with it. I had a problem after I watched it again and started seeing these giant gaping holes in the story that didn't make any bloody sense. And from that point on, it just got really silly. And I said it before, it was a movie to look at, but if you're taking it to kind of as a sequel, it doesn't make any sense. It's not a sequel, it's a standalone movie, and it used aspects of the first movie, but it didn't continue any of the plot or any of the story. So I'm actually interested. I'm more interested in seeing what JJ is going to do with the third one, how he's going to make this work, because you can't finish the plots from the first movie if you take into account the second. So
Star Wars Episode 9, Damage Control.
Well, you can see it in the trailer where he's trying to fix the helmet.
Pretty much.
I'm pretty much
say
on
something positive about Captain Marvel. Okay, I sat through Captain Marvel. I tried to sit through Dark Phoenix, and I managed to get through it.
Oh, good for you.
And I could not sit through Fantastic Four.
The new one.
That's my praise for Captain Marvel. I actually sat and watched.
I'm actually with Philip on Captain Marvel. I didn't think it was a fantastic movie. I didn't think it was a horrible movie. I thought it was kind of like an average MCU flick. I was more my bone with Captain Marvel was more how they promoted it and all of Brie Larson's like publicity interviews and all of how she was like. She made it explicit that she was using her role as Captain Marvel to be an activist. That was my bigger issue with the film was the promotion rather than the actual product on the screen. Obviously, I thought they kind of some of the changes that they made in the film are a little bit disrespectful to the source material, where they made Marvel a woman. And I didn't really like that. The one scene I did like was like that they basically ripped off from Captain America was she sees her childhood and stuff. I thought that was actually like where she's wrecking her go-kart or whatever, or the big wheel or whatever she's on. I like that part. There's stuff from in it I liked, but there was stuff I didn't like either. The whole like Terminator vibe just didn't work. It felt cheesy. But as far as Star Wars, I really like Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was great.
Rogue One was excellent. I loved Rogue One.
Rogue One was awesome. Yeah, I liked it. Rogue One too.
Force Awakens, it's hard to like. I thought it was a decent film because it was
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the plot of the original Star Wars for the most part. Mm-hmm. But like Last Jedi. I couldn't understand from the beginning.
TLG was what killed it for me too. I was cool with everything up to that point. Like Force Awakens was a good start for the sequel trilogy, and then TLJ just threw everything in the trash, and that's why it made it really suck, in my opinion. Force Awakens had its like ups and downs, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah,
it was a promising start, but TLJ was just that was the straw that broke the camel's back, in my opinion.
I actually thought. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say with Captain Marvel, I won't stop beating my drum for it. I remember when they announced it, I wanted so bad. I wanted the chick that played Starbuck in BSG, Katie Sackhoff.
I was hoping for that. When I heard that, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna get it for sure."
I wanted her to be.
Oh yeah, she would have been perfect.
I wanted her to be Carol Danvers, and then I would have been so absolutely over the friggin' moon for that movie.
She fits the part. Carol Danvers was never a 20-something-year-old or early 30s. She's always been the late mid. She's a colonel in the Air Force. When she debuted, I think she was actually a captain, but she's a colonel in the Air Force. There are no 20-year-old colonels in the Air Force. Come on, man, or anywhere. That's what. Colonel is one step away from general. That doesn't happen in real life. Colonels are like, it was just disappointing. And when I heard there were already rumors before they did the movie that Katie Sackhoff people were like fan casting her. I was like, that's a home run.
That fit like a glove, dude. Yeah, that would have been great.
And I think right now she is 38 or 39 years old. She's not too old to like you can start a franchise around her and she'll age well into the role.
Don't tell DC that.
Well, the great thing about her is because
and then she can pass it on to Rambeau.
That would have been nice.
Well, see, the great thing about Katie Sackhoff, I can say this because I've met her in person. You know, she's really cool and she's down to earth. She's not constantly grandstanding. She's not wearing her politics on her sleeve. You know, on her Twitter, she doesn't.
Probably why she didn't get the role.
She doesn't tweet out a bunch of political stuff. She just worries about acting, and she wants to bring good stuff to the fans. That's it. That's all she wants to do.
Yeah, she's done a lot of cool projects, and I thought her more grittier, down to earth, kind of like, you know, less dainty, more action role. She's got a good build on her. She's more believable to be an action star, and she has that. I love her voice. Her voice, Scarlett Johansson, that kind of deeper, kind of raspiness. I love that. I think that would have been better, and I can take that seriously. When I hear Brie Larson talk, it's like, okay, how old are you again?
Hey, Peter Parker.
Don't let me get me started on that. I love that movie, except for that where that started. That point is what made me cringe. My wife watched the movie with me, and she turned to me and she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, I heard this was going to happen, and it was as cringy as I thought it was going to be. Just from logistically, it didn't make sense. It's like you're in the middle of a war zone. None of you have comms. None of you. Half of you were dead just like 5 minutes ago. You came back. Somehow you all gathered together on a chaotic, burnt-out battlefield without talking to each other, and just choreographed this big only women fight scene. It didn't make any sense. It just
Miss Martian was actually on the battlefield and she had psychically connected them like in Young Justice. We just never saw her.
It just didn't make it just didn't make any sense. It was not no.
Yeah, Script Doctor, that's a good point too. That would have been a good one. Although like Katie Sackhoff was better because she specialized in sci-fi and action. Reese Witherspoon, I don't know how she would have pulled that off because she's not really done action at all.
Yeah.
Well, there was another one person that was up for the role. I think she either turned it down or she had a conflict and didn't do it. And what was her name? The British woman that was in Live, Die, Repeat.
No, South African woman.
Hello?
Well, who was it?
The woman from Live, Die, Repeat.
I know who you're talking about. I can see her plain as day.
What the hell's her name?
Oh my gosh.
She was married to what's his face?
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. I think she's not much bigger than Brie, but she has a commanding presence, a screen presence, and her voice isn't so small and delicate. She has. I mean,
she stood toe to toe with Tom Cruise.
You know how that is. Yeah, he didn't absorb every bit of charisma on the screen. It was shared and it made sense. And Brie doesn't really have a commanding, stage presence, in my opinion. I mean, again, as an actress, as a pure actress, after watching her in Room, she's got chops. But for action, I don't think it's working out, and I don't think Disney thinks it's working out.
Yeah, I think with the combination of her just going super woke and getting way into activism, the combination of that and the fact that she just doesn't fit the genre. It was never going to work with her. And that's why, Brie Larson just gets a lot of the pushback that she gets is because of that reason.
What about Charlize Theron? She was also considered for the role at some point, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
she's a tall chick. I think that would have been cool too.
Charlize
It was
would.
Aeon Flux.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Charlize would have been okay, but the only problem is like
She's got Fast and Furious now.
she
Oh,
shows her age though a little bit now. She's starting to approach that Raquel Welch status.
still pretty hot though.
Oh yeah, she is. I mean,
Well, you get her in for a contract for 10 or 12 years, and then you pass it on to Binary or something after that.
So we're talking about actors' age. To me, it seems like these Hollywood studios are looking for someone late 20s, early 30s. We're seeing rumors about the potentially new Superman, that Henry Cavill is too old at 33 to reprise his role as Superman.
He's only 33?
Or he's 36, sorry. Pattinson's 33. My fault. My bad on that.
He still looks, I was like, wow.
Yeah. So
Younger than me.
So he's 36. So he's 36, and they're saying he's too old. And this is like the second rumor about this, because I remember it was like back when the huge rumors were going on about him being out. It was like last year, I guess. They were saying that they were looking at doing a Supergirl, and he would be too old if they're bringing in Kara. So I don't. It's just crazy. And then Pattinson's 33, and they're saying that like it has to be younger than their Batman actor.
Listen, Christopher Reeve looked 45 his entire run.
Yeah.
I don't understand what their problem is.
I don't get the age thing in Hollywood. I mean, if you can still, I mean, so Hugh Jackman was 31 when he first got the role of Wolverine.
It's like pushing 50 when he finished that movie.
Yeah, he was 48, and he's 50 now. He was 48 with Logan when it came out.
I feel like almost though, if they
still killing it.
If they did Supergirl, they would almost have to bring in the CW girl to do it, because like
No.
I don't like the CW right now.
I gave up on the CW last year. I watched Black Lightning, so that's about it. I like Black Lightning. I was watching Arrow for a while, but I gave up because last season they were going after someone named Dante, and I was watching it up until the half point of the season, and I had no idea who Dante was. And I was like, I don't want to watch the show anymore. I don't know what's going on. I gave up on it.
I just feel like, though, just as far as actors go, she's so like people know her as Kara. She's a good Kara. Minus some of the cringy writing that she has to act.
I haven't watched since the first season. So.
But she's a good Kara. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why they can't just bring her into the movies.
There's the same thing about what's his name that plays Barry.
He's run around by his girl. So that
you're talking about the CW guy, Grant Gustin or whatever.
Grant Gustin, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather see Grant Gustin, Ezra Miller. I couldn't stand his Flash in Justice League. It was just couldn't.
He had a moment that got me. That whole part with him and Superman fighting, that was hilarious. His facial expressions were priceless. Like oh my God, you can see me.
Yeah, that was about it. Everything else, I was just like,
I don't know. They're bringing back Tom Welling first.
I'm going to look forward to seeing that. I look forward to seeing that and see how he holds up. But they're saying he's going to be Clark, but they haven't said anything about Superman. So,
well, Brandon Routh is definitely playing Superman. He was at San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah. He pulled off. He did the whole like Superman with showing the S, and it was the Mark Waid Superman. Whatever that comic is, that's completely just slipped my mind.
Red Sun?
No, it's Mark Waid one. Mark Millar was Red Sun.
Oh, okay.
That's the animated one that's coming out. Freaking, I can't remember it.
The thing is,
it's with Alex Ross's artwork.
How is Brandon Routh going to play Superman when he already plays the Atom in the same universe?
So it's infinite.
It's bonkers.
It's Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So they're gonna have it's like he's playing Kingdom Come. Yeah, everyone's got it. Kingdom Come. That's He's playing the Kingdom Come Superman because that's the outfit he's got on.
It's just going to be weird. It's like, hey, you look exactly like that guy.
Right?
Well, they already didn't they already do that with that's the whole thing. That was the whole shtick of the Flash, like second season, right? Going to Earth 2 and all that stuff.
Yeah, but there was
same actors playing different characters.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's where they met the cringy Batwoman. Yeah.
And the thing about that Batwoman, she has a good look. It's just trailer for that show. It was so
the writing for it is awful.
Yeah.
The writing.
Like,
if we're talking about woke, there you go.
Yeah, that's the most woke show I've ever seen.
There was a shot.
Not even out yet.
Yeah. There was a shot of her walking through. I guess getting ready to go. Going through the Batcave, getting ready to get dressed inside the show, and the cinematography of them of their panning or watching or following her down the hall. It was a dope shot, and she had the look, and she had the body language, and it would look. I was like, "Yo, they might be able to pull this off." And then she opened her mouth, and then it was like, "Wow, never mind."
I mean,
but
I will.
They had it.
You just need to.
The CW is actually pretty good with their costumes. I think for the most part. Obviously, the new Supergirl costume sucks, but for the most part, like their costumes are like really good. But when you're whining about people thinking that you're Batman after you literally stole Batman's stuff, like you need a reality check.
You stole all this stuff. They think you're Batman because you're in Gotham running around with a black suit and a cape. What did you think was going to happen exactly? Yeah. That's not sexism. That's just common sense. I'm going to think you're Batman. You're not Batman? No, I'm sorry. You're wearing Batman's clothes.
And that's why Captain Marvel wasn't as woke as it could have been, because it could have been Batwoman.
Yeah, they're literally putting the woke in the trailer. It's just, I mean, it's like, it would be like if they put in that deleted scene of her literally going full Terminator on that guy with the motorcycle in the trailer for Captain Marvel. That's what Batwoman is. Remember, she just like takes the guy, like she just like assaults the guy in that deleted scene.
Because they did that smile thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you had to go poke the Twitter bears. That's great. It was also unnecessary. And they took that and ran with that so much. Like, oh, it's sexist. That is not what people are talking about. When they're telling her to smile, they weren't saying she should smile because she looked pretty. They're saying show some emotion, emote.
Yeah, exactly.
It had nothing to do with smile, honey. It was like, are you alive? Because there's no emotion on your face. And then I figured it had something to do with the story. But at the same time, if you're cutting up, whoever cut the trailer, that was your fault because you didn't inject any emotion or energy into what you're showing us, and you're getting upset. I said this for a long time in conversations. It is not the consumer's job to give you a chance. It's your job to convince us to give you a chance, and that's the only way it works. I don't have to watch this movie if I don't think the trailer looks good. I didn't watch the Ghostbusters movie because I thought because it wasn't funny. It had nothing to do with women. It wasn't funny. It was corny, and I didn't watch it because it looked stupid. I tried to watch it on TV and gave up in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I haven't even tried to like watch that one. I did sit through that Fantastic Four one, but I should have turned it off and walked away. It was
sorry.
It was so bad.
Yeah, that was a big mess too. And that's another like failed opportunity that Fox had. As much of a mess it was, why didn't you try to cross your Fantastic Four with your X-Men franchise? At some point, Fox has owned half of Marvel's universe, and they just didn't use it. It's just sad. So.
They had the best part of the Marvel universe. I've said this before. The X-Men are way bigger than the Avengers. They're like their premier that's the premier Marvel Comics property as far as I'm concerned is the X-Men.
Agreed.
It always was for me, at least.
They had to deliberately water it down to even have to let the Avengers catch up. It was kind of messed up. Like I was there for Avengers versus X-Men. I saw that crap happen. That was freaking horrible. Train wreck.
But did y'all want to get into what happened today with the X-Men?
It's not. I don't think a lot didn't happen today. There was a lot of this explaining. There was absolutely no action in this issue.
It wasn't. It was more. They were going through their 1776 for Krakoa. It was essentially them setting up their government, their council, their shady dealings.
Yeah.
And Xavier is. I'm back on the board where this is not Xavier.
Here's my thing now.
He's abandoned everything. I think it's David.
Oh, wow. But David's not that slick. He would have showed his hand by now. He's kind of David's probably my third favorite comic book character since I've loved David Legion since Legion Quest. When this one comment he said to Bishop, he asked him, what does that M stand for, moron or madman? Because he had jumped at him, and David's been swatting away the entire X-Men team, not even paying attention to them, and he jumps at him trying to hurt him, and he looks at him like, "This is the M stand for moron or madman?" And I was like, I love this guy. I thought that was hilarious, and that led into Age of Apocalypse, and that's just the best era of X-Men in my opinion. But yeah, I don't think David's that slick, but it would make sense because the tipping point for Legion was he caused all the problems for the X-Men because he was trying to make his father happy. This could be another way of him trying to realize his father's dream, even though it's a perverted version of it, to be honest. I can't imagine what we're seeing in House of X and Powers of X being the real X-Men. After seeing Storm preaching like a high priestess last week and watching Xavier just basically betray everything I know Xavier at least presents in the public, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't believe this is the actual timeline that we've gotten used to. I truly do believe this has something to do with one of Myra's failed attempts to save the mutant kind.
Yeah, because I haven't seen Moira in year 10. Like in that current, it's only Xavier and Magneto and all the X-Men, but there's no Moira. And then there was this little, I forget where it was, but there's this little blurb of Moira's isolation place. Did you read that?
I did not see that. I heard someone talk about it online, and I haven't been able to read it again.
Oh my gosh.
It does. Like I said, it makes sense in a lot of ways that this is another one of her lives, especially because again, the series ends in 2 weeks, and they have not addressed what happened in her sixth life.
Yeah,
and we didn't know that year 100 was her ninth life.
Mm-hmm.
So what's to say that this isn't the sixth?
Right. So
because her 10th life, I believe that's the 616 universe that we know. If you watch that, if you read the timeline, everything that happened in that timeline is what we know is what happened in Marvel Comics from 1970 whatever till 2019. Mm-hmm. But in the ninth life, that was the Apocalypse one, where it was actually a pretty dope story.
Dope, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
No, because I'm sorry. That scene where he was trying to communicate with Namor, and Namor.
Yeah, that was. I love that scene. I really love that scene. He's like, you don't believe it yourself, and until you do, get out of my presence. I was wondering how long it was going to take for them to talk to Namor. Go ahead.
All right, check it out. So, camera, right on
House
there.
Of Ed. Myra's no place. Well, in the first couple issues, if you notice on the map, there was that dotted outline area of Krakoa that had no name. So that might be that.
Is Moira a prisoner now?
Or she's in hiding. I mean, because of who she is, she's probably not encouraged to interfere more than she should. At least expose her hand.
It's just so off. Everything's just so off.
This is Hickman. And the things that don't make sense with his writing typically don't make sense for a reason. He doesn't have plot holes. I never cared about anything Avengers related until his run. And the way he writes so intricate, these inconsistencies I'm seeing, they have to mean something. We haven't. They're like my friend Perp. He brought up or did you bring up? Someone brought up during our thread that we haven't seen Gambit, we haven't seen Rogue, we haven't seen Kitty or Colossus. Yeah, and yeah, those are types that might have a problem with what's going on. Gambit would back Rogue. Colossus is too much of a he's kind of a psychopath in my opinion. I should actually write something about that. And Kitty, yeah, she's gonna go against the grain more often than not. I mean, the whole Xavier's a jerk thing. I don't see her just sitting by and like, yeah, you can clone my friends after you send them on death missions. This is not a good idea.
Right.
So this is all the things the X-Men are doing don't make a lot of sense if you know what the X-Men are. And and this is if Hickman tells me this is the 616, I'm gonna have to take away my genius medal from him.
Yeah, this can't be main timeline. This has got to be the 10th life. I'm thinking Moira is locked up with the real Xavier, and both of them are looking at everything that's going on and just saying, not like this.
Not like this. But yeah, I like that David theory because there's a reason Hickman, again, he makes everything for a reason. I'm not calling him God. I'm just saying everything is for a reason. He put out a list of Omega level mutants, and so far they've all played a part in what's happening. So even Proteus, for goodness sake, Proteus has been a throwaway plot device forever, and all of a sudden he's a huge part of the story. He made Gold Balls matter. Who the heck would want that matter? Like Gold Balls is one of the reasons I quit reading Bendis's run, even though Bendis's run, they all talk like robots, and that's what drove me crazy. But Gold Balls was a key factor in why I stopped reading comic books for a little while, at least most of the X-Men.
I did the same with his Guardians of the Galaxy run.
Then I heard about how bad
he was doing Guardians and X-Men at the same time. Dropped that immediately.
Oh yeah, he set up this big old sandbox where he'd start smashing his toys together, and I was like, I'm not down with this. I was like, you're not going to force me to read that. I'm not reading it.
Yeah.
So I like when they first premiered the Guardians, that first couple issues. I'm not sure who the artist was, but it was a gorgeous book, and the artwork itself hooked me. And then he let whoever the artist was stop doing the book, and then I started paying attention to what Bendis was saying and. Bendis. So
we got some breaking news here. Thank you to the chat for bringing it to our attention. Trey Chester says, breaking news, Feige and Kennedy to make Star Wars film. So I found the exclusive here. Let me, I'll do a screen share on this one so we can all read it together.
Feige.
I mean, it makes sense in a way.
But it doesn't.
All right. They have a guy who can actually see, no matter what he's done in the past year.
There he is right there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, legitimate.
Yeah, so this is Hollywood Reporter. It is an exclusive from Heat Vision. Star Wars shocker, Marvel's Kevin Feige developing new movie for Disney. Kathleen Kennedy is pursuing a new era in Star Wars storytelling. And knowing what a diehard fan Kevin is, it made sense for these two extraordinary producers to work on a Star Wars film together. Walt Disney Studios co-chairman Alan Horn tells The Hollywood Reporter.
They're trying to get fans back to Star Wars.
That's exactly what this is. They've seen the success with Marvel Studios and they want to bring it to Star Wars. This is a complete lack of faith in Kathleen Kennedy and what they've done with Star Wars. That is exactly what this is. This is just crazy. But it's not like hold on here. It's not just Star Wars.
Show me the money.
Alan Horn said, "We are excited about the projects Kathy and the Lucasfilm team are working on, not only in terms of Star Wars, but also Indiana Jones and reaching into other parts of the company, including Children of Blood and Bone with Emma Watts and Fox. With the close of the Skywalker saga, Kathy is pursuing a new era in Star Wars storytelling." And we already read that. That's just said that. Let's see what else is here. Some see this movie as a prelude to a larger role. Some. I mean, you mean the Hollywood Reporter who broke the story? You're already like telling us what people think.
No, this is Iger writing all of this for the Hollywood Reporter.
It's possible. Who is writing it? Kim Masters. So some
Ken
see this movie.
Masters.
Yeah,
Street Fighter?
Okay, so wasn't Sony like, hey, Feige's got a lot of things on his plate right now, so he can't really take on any other kinds of projects, and especially ones that he doesn't own.
Exactly. I think you hit the money right on the board.
So is
Sony
he making
knew what was happening maybe here.
What the hell?
What was that, Drew?
Is he making a standalone, or is he gonna?
Well,
I think he's doing her job, to be honest. I think
You're part of a trilogy.
Oh,
that's what it sounds like to me. I think Phillips right there is right. I think
every
Feige's
franchise
taking over
needs a
Kennedy's job.
every franchise needs a Feige, someone that has a view and knows what they're doing. She obviously either didn't have one, or what she has is obsolete, doesn't work.
that's a blow to the woke culture, though, because she was when I went to D23, she was the only, like, out of non-white male head of industry that showed up on the stage. Everybody else was white male. Iger, Horn, Feige. So,
So here, let's read this here. Some see this movie as a prelude to a larger role for Feige within Lucasfilm, while others say it merely reflects the Marvel executive's passion for the franchise.
Never heard him talk about it.
Yeah. Is that like how he said Brie Larson was a huge Captain Marvel fan, and then that MTV interview she said she thought Captain Marvel was Captain America?
Oh my god.
He's talked about gargoyles more than he's talked about Star Wars, okay? I'm still waiting on my Gargoyles project. He talked about that, dang it.
Dude, I would love some gargoyles, man. A top Disney source says Kennedy remains in charge with no plans for any changes until 2021 when her contract expires, like Bob Iger when he's retiring.
But didn't they go through this already? Her contract was coming up, but nobody would take the job, mostly because they were scared of backlash.
Was that in 2018? Because she signed a contract in 2018 for 3 years.
They gave her an extension or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they extended her for 3 years in 2018. They did just promote that like J.J. Abrams protege to like some Star Wars story thing position, which I mean, the speculation was that she was going to take over for Kennedy when she retires or when she's when the contract ends in 2021. So one knowledgeable source says Feige has told a major actor that there's a specific role he would like that person to play if and when he makes the movie. This is the same day we see this Brie Larson rumor. Feige said Larson is the face of the MCU.
No, she's not. No, stop that. No.
She's obviously not, because there's no announcement for Captain Marvel in Phase 4. But like that just screams Brie Larson to me. I'm sorry. It's too much of a coincidence.
Or okay, I got a crazy theory.
Here we go.
All right, so drum roll, crazy theory. What if this is Samuel L. Jackson that he's thinking of, and it's Mace Windu?
Didn't he get thrown out of a window?
Too old.
He said he wants
Captain Marvel. He couldn't run.
He said he wants to come back and do it. He said he wants to come back and do it.
He can't run.
He's been dead.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, we thought Darth Maul was dead too, didn't we?
He got, I guess. I mean, you can survive getting cut in half. You can survive getting electrocuted out of a window, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. He said he wanted to come back, so and he's tight with Feige too. So
Script doctor is saying it. Keanu Reeves.
I was hoping they were going to give him the Moon Knight role. I thought he would have been pretty good with that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's been talking with Feige. We know that he's been talking with Feige for Feige confirmed that.
It could be anybody.
There was a Matrix update, but we just haven't gotten to that yet because he was talking about the new Matrix script today. But so let's continue with this. So it says, however, with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker set to hit theaters December 20th, it is understandable that Disney would like to keep as much about the future of the franchise under wraps as possible. That's absolute garbage. You just had Alan Horn talking to you about bringing Feige in. This is in your own article. They're doing this before Skywalker. They're now this is a planned move by Disney to announce that Feige's doing Star Wars to get people hyped about Star Wars, thinking that he might do something after Rise of Skywalker. It's connected. Feige's there. Let's try and get people to go to Rise of Skywalker. Feige's here now. So sorry, mini rant there. Skywalker, otherwise known as Episode 9, is meant to be the final installment of the series that was first launched by George Lucas in 1977. It is also meant to win back fans after the last sequel trilogy entry, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, divided audiences, even though reviews were largely positive. No, critic reviews were not audience reviews. And the film grossed $1.3 billion worldwide. This, from The Hollywood Reporter, it is also meant to win back fans. Yeah, that is an admission from The Hollywood Reporter that Star Wars lost a crap ton of fans, and they are admitting that the Brandon franchise was definitely in trouble.
And the thing about this, you got to take into it, because this is the Hollywood Reporter, THR, they passed this by Disney before they put this out. So if Disney let them say this.
Oh, dude, this came from Alan Horn. They have a quote from Alan Horn here.
Yeah, no, Alan Horn
like number 2.
Talked about that.
Yeah, it's totally This looks like they're just talking about his record at Marvel, Kennedy's record at Marvel.
I mean, I still feel like if they wanted to win back fans, if they want to get fans excited, hand it off to Filoni and put him in charge of Star Wars, and then it might go somewhere. But
no, they do that.
My guess is Filoni doesn't want to do it. That's what I seems such an obvious choice, but I would assume he just doesn't want to do it. He probably wants to just do his Clone Wars, work with Favreau on Mandalorian, and just kind of be a story guy. He doesn't want to have to deal with overseeing all this stuff.
Yeah, he was on stage, but he was kind of not there when they brought him on stage with Favreau. He was more just like a presence. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
He would undermine what they're doing with Kathleen Kennedy. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to put him too much in the mix into films, because his presence is going to outshine her. And
his hat alone does it, man.
Yeah.
It's
not going to happen. Not while she's there anyway. While she's there, they're going to ride the woke wave as much as possible, because you can't be halfway into the woke wave. You got to be all the way in. So,
look at this great ad, though. This is a great little ad here.
It's caught by a couple times. So I was like,
it's pretty good. So not only did the Hollywood Reporter admit that Star Wars lost fans, but we got another paragraph down here. One potential trouble sign for Lucasfilm and Disney is the allegedly disappointing. Allegedly, no, it's not alleged. They admitted it. They said their attendance was down
across the board.
Earning call.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was down 3%. That's a huge. No, it might not sound like a lot. 3% is a lot for attendance when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people attending these parks during
hundreds
the quarter.
of thousands of people equals probably billions of dollars. 3% of a billion is a lot of money.
And they said revenue was up, but that's because they increased prices. And that's not like that. They're doing exactly what the comic book companies have done, increasing comic book prices to a dwindling audience to try and keep their revenues even. But yeah, so then they go on to talk about the earnings call. I've covered that. We've covered that on Bounding like to no end. And then Wednesday, Disney unveiled a new leadership structure for the Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney Resort parks in Anaheim and Orlando. That goes back to what's her name? Catherine Powell. Her job was eliminated. And she was overseeing like Disney Paris. She was like Disney Parks West president, which was like Disney Paris, Disney, Walt Disney World, and Disneyland.
Disney woke.
Am I allowed to say anything on that? I don't think I'm allowed to say anything on that. No, I'm not allowed to say anything on that. Okay.
What are you talking about? I can't see the chat. I only have one screen. All I see is the article.
If he says it, then he said it. He's trying not to say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, so this is just talking more about. Oh, okay, that's the end of the article. All right, but yeah, I mean, there's some huge things here. A Hollywood Reporter admitting Disney is struggling with dividing the audiences. They're admitting that they're struggling with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, there it is. Disney criticized for its lack of women at top roles in the company.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Top roles in the company. So any move to displace Kennedy may create perception problems.
There you go.
Except they just got rid of Catherine Powell, and no one batted an eye, and no one cared.
Because they did it on the scruples of what happened with the park, and it's that business is business. So they're like, it was underperforming, so she stepped down. And that's what they said. They didn't fire her. They said she left on her own. Keyword: she stepped down. In other words, here's some money. Please go away.
They paid her to go away, exactly.
That's what like a lot of the media was reporting, that she stepped down. If you actually went into the article, her position was eliminated. She did not resign. She did not retire. Her position as Disney Parks West president was eliminated.
You're not fired. Your job doesn't exist.
She did not step down. That was what the headlines were saying. But her position was eliminated. She did not step down. Those are two different things. And I can't believe that they were able to get away with that in their headlines. And then in their literal write-ups, they were saying it was eliminated. That's a topic for another day. But yeah, her position was eliminated. And she had like rejuvenated that Disneyland or Paris Disney or whatever. Because it had been struggling, and she was able to like really like get it going. I don't know how like successful it is currently, but I know it was struggling for a while, and she was able to like get it back on track. But I think the issue with Kennedy is that she's obviously a lot more higher profile, and I think she has like the that shirt that she wore.
And brown hair. She's got brown hair. That's important.
Yeah, because Catherine Powell had blonde hair. But yeah, I think she's just a bit higher profile. She's got the that force is female, which was obviously something. I think it was for like a Nike ad or something though. But it has that like woke attachment to it already. And I would not be surprised if it was done on purpose. To do that Nike ad, to have that perception out there. But yeah, so that's this breaking news here. I'm going to stop sharing now so I can see everyone and see the comments.
I think she was definitely thrown under the bus.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting though.
Yeah, so that's also a thing that's going on with Disney. You have the SEC investigation, and then you also have the independent investigation by the former Attorney General of Louisiana. Trey Chester is asking for a moment of silence. For Star Wars? Is there a moment of silence for Star Wars? I mean, I don't know whether to be excited about this. I mean, I definitely think it shows that they have no faith in the leadership of Star Wars. But, I mean, I'm not sure if I have faith in Feige, given what all the announcements with Phase 4.
Yeah,
other than like Moon Knight.
this is a hedge your bets move, pretty much. But again, it's like I agree with you, John, because I don't really have a whole lot of faith in it, given what Phase 4 was told to us. It just, yeah.
Yeah, Phase 4 looks kind of underwhelming, for to say the least. You know, it's like, okay, it's happening. That's about all. It's all. There's nothing in there got me really excited. You know, there were some things in there that, I mean, is Blade in Phase 4?
Phase 5.
See,
Phase
I don't
5.
even care. So what about Black Panther? Is that where is that? Is that
That's
5
Phase
or 4?
4.
4.
That's Phase 4.
Now,
Everything they've announced is Phase 4 except for Blade.
Had they gone the Namor route, and I mean, they're just calling it Black Panther 2, and it's like, that doesn't make me excited. I don't get excited over titles. It's like, oh, it's coming, yay! I don't. It's like 4 years from now, so who cares? I mean, I don't care, and they're not making me care, and that's on them. If I don't care, that's because you didn't do your job right. So,
Well, you got to think. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. They got us excited for Iron Man, who is D-list character.
I was excited. I was dating someone at the time. I had to convince her and her to go see that, and it turned out to be great because it was a great movie. But I knew who Iron Man was, and they were like, "Oh, what is?" They kept saying something about Transformers. I was like, "No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's a comic book movie." And then this is before comic book movies were really good. So. I'm not sure. Were people really excited about Iron Man? I mean, I don't remember the trailers. I just remember I was going to go see it regardless.
I don't remember any of the trailers either. I mean, but it was. I mean, Iron Man was 2008, so you already had kind of like superheroes were kind of starting to take over the zeitgeist. Obviously, not to the effect what Marvel Studios did with Infinity War and Endgame, but you had the X-Men in 2000. You had Spider-Man. 2001, I think.
When was Spider-Man 3 with cringy Toby and
the dancing
cringy Venom?
I don't remember the date on that. But so Feige was actually an executive producer on Spider-Man 3. He was the executive producer on all of those X-Men films.
Even the third one? Oh.
I think so. I mean, the dude's been he's basically he's been producing all of these superhero movies.
Oh, and he was doing Fantastic Four as well.
Yeah, so I mean, he's
the two first ones. That's better than the rebooted one, though. Hey.
Except for freaking Cloud Galactus.
Yeah, that was horrible.
So bad. But I mean, so that's why obviously he brought in Chris Evans because he'd been working with him on Fantastic Four. I mean, to me, So Script Doctor says, I remember when Iron Man was being kicked around with Tom Cruise interested during the last Samurai release. I was excited then, but probably the only one. Happier with RDJ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it worked out for the best.
Yeah, Feige is Feige is a protege of Lauren Schuler Donner, still one of the best producers in the business. Yeah, she was doing the X-Men and Feige was underneath her. Yeah, that's definitely right.
Wasn't she the one that wasn't going to see Dark Phoenix?
She said, yeah, she made sure that she washed her hands of Dark Phenix. She was like, I'm not attached to that movie just because it's an X-Men movie. Doesn't. I still think there's some Disney shenanigans with that film too. I buy into the Cosmic Book News theory that Disney made them alter that movie.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like Captain Marvel because I think it had a lot to do with Captain Marvel.
I didn't know that was a theory. I thought that was legit because it all pretty much lines up to what happened. Like what the movie turned into from what I've been told and what I've been seeing. It's not what it doesn't make any sense to. It's like you're using the X-Men and then you go use the broccoli people from the one panel from Dark Phoenix 30 years ago. I mean, it you don't do that for a feature film. And the way they were shopping, what's the actress's name? Who's playing the
Sophie Turner?
No.
Jessica Chastain.
Jessica. The way they were shopping her, she was supposed to be playing this really huge part of this mysterious, and like it turned out to be a character that doesn't exist in his zeitgeist. It's like, what does this mean? So I don't think. But put it this way, they were pushing it so hard. I swore that she was going to be Lalandra. That's how hard they were pushing her involvement in the movie, and then it turned into nothing. It was like that was a last-minute change. And when you hear about what they were going to do, and then you hear about the Captain Marvel, I was like, yeah, that sounds like they were going to be really similar, now doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I know Don had a theory back in the day that the movies were connected because they were so similar just in the lead up to. We hadn't even seen trailers or anything. Just the way they were talking about them, it seemed. They were like just so close to each other, but I don't think anyone's confirmed that. I that's why I call it a theory.
Yeah, I think it was suppositions based off of where Feige had looked at the script for Dark Phoenix, is what Kinberg had said at some point, and I think that was kind of a hint to us that he would. Yeah, he said he and other executives said no to this part of the script. So we have to change it,
and that's
where that comes from.
That says a lot. It's like they said no, so we changed it. It was like, why did he say no? It's like there's a reason, right? Since when do I know you guys have to pass your scripts past Marvel before you execute them? But the movie, from what I've been told, it was already shot and almost done. So they went pretty far, didn't they? These were reshoots. These weren't so.
Expensive reshoots.
Dark Phoenix was supposed to be out in November before Captain Marvel, and then they pushed it to February, where Alita eventually came out, and then they tried to make a whole thing that it was James Cameron's insistence to get Alita there, but I think it had more to do with Marvel not wanting it to come out.
They went on Kimmel or some show, and they said it was coming out one day, and then the next day it said it was coming out in May or something. I was like, "What the heck is going on here?" You debuted a trailer with one day, and then a completely different one the following day.
Exactly, that's exactly what happened. They dropped the trailer with the date on it, and then the next day their Twitter feed had updated with the new release date, and it was like, "What is going on?" It was just,
and the messed up thing, they kept saying, "Oh yes, it's gonna premiere tonight." I waited up for it, and it didn't come on. I went to sleep, woke up, watched the trailer, and then within the same hour, I saw another post saying it. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
So who got fired? Someone got fired from this, right?
I mean, a lot of people got fired, but over Fox.
Studio got fired.
Yeah.
I totally buy into that theory that it definitely was Marvel Studios interference and Disney interference to make sure it didn't mess with Captain Marvel. And if you looked at it, Captain Marvel had zero competition for 4 weeks. There was no competition in the theater for a month, which is just unheard of. Star Wars is going to be going up against Jumanji in its second week. Jumanji will be out a week before Star Wars. So Jumanji will be in its second week against Star Wars here in December. I actually think that's going to be an interesting matchup because Jumanji was huge. Was huge even when Last Jedi came out. I think they came out at the same time, and Jumanji still did over $1 billion too, if I remember correctly.
Huh. I never heard of that angle about the no competition angle. I've never heard that. It makes that. Wow, I never even thought about that.
Oh, dude, that's why Quentin Tarantino hates Disney. He does not like Disney because Disney. I think that he had set up a date for, I don't know if it was Django or Hateful Eight. I think it might have been Hateful Eight, and he had set up a date for that, and he was hoping to get the IMAX theaters and everything, and then Disney moved their date, and they dropped one of their Maleficent or something on the same date that Hateful Eight was going to come out, and it just Disney took over those IMAXs and the special theaters that he wanted Hateful Eight in.
They bullied him.
Yeah,
they did. They oh god, yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
Yeah, so Jumanji came out December 20, 2017, and it made it made just shy of $1 billion, 962, and that was competing with Last Jedi.
Ooh.
So, and like the new Jumanji is coming out. I'm pretty sure it's December 13th, which is a week before Last Jedi, which comes out on the 20th. So I'm going to be really interested to see what happens with those box offices.
I'm interested to see how they cap this story. Either they're going to make it and just cap it at the end, done with that phase, or they're going to tease us with the next 50 years of Star Wars.
I think they have to end it. They got to cut it off. They got to be Anakin Skywalker on Mace Windu, and they got to chop the arm off and
Chop the arm off.
Yeah, they got to stop the bleeding.
Cut his arms off. He cut his arms off and kicked him out of a window while he's being electrocuted. He's not alive, man. Come on. Like, I was thinking about him surviving after just falling out the window. I forgot that he lost his arm too, or both of his arms, didn't he?
No, I think Anakin just chops off one arm.
Yeah.
I think it's just one because you see
robotic arm. Come on.
They do have to do their own thing now, though. It's pretty much a given at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to salvage what they've done so far. But I guess if they're using the Galaxy's Edge as an indicator of, what's in store for Star Wars, then I think they will just try to, not revamp anything, but focus on a different era, possibly.
Well, I think that's what they got to do.
And a lot of those Disney parks and rides, they're going to start creating rides based off of Marvel themed, like Marvel Land, and
they can do that. I thought don't they have a contract with Universal?
I
know Universal has that in Universal Studios. They got all that Marvel stuff. Mm-hmm. So I know they are doing Marvel stuff abroad. I haven't seen anything, and I think they did Guardians of the Galaxy. They did like Guardians of the Galaxy coaster in Disneyland or something like that. Mm-hmm. But most of the Avengers stuff I've seen has been international.
Yeah,
and like Avengers Academy, that's happening in Florida. Yeah.
In Dubai, there's a Marvel or an Avengers land, and it's an indoor theme park. So I know that much in Dubai. I'm not sure if that's Disney related, but
I think Avengers Academy is on a cruise ship, Don.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. So that might be how they get around it, because it's like international waters or whatever.
Let's go on a boat. They can't sue us out there.
Yeah. But I do know they're doing stuff abroad, but like I'll be interested to see if they can compete with Nintendo Land. Because I think that's what Universal's doing now, right? They're doing Nintendo Land.
Are they? I didn't hear about
Yeah,
that.
Universal's doing a Nintendo Land. I'm pretty sure we did an article on it like a couple years ago.
Wait, when is that coming out? So I can go visit?
I don't remember. I know they're doing one in Japan. I think they're doing one in Florida too.
Dude, they already have one in Japan. It's
November 30, 2016. Yeah.
It's called Japan.
So Jorge wrote an article back in November 2016. Universal Studios will be teaming up with Nintendo to bring Nintendo-themed areas to all three of their theme parks, including Universal Studios Japan, Universal Orlando, and Universal Studios Hollywood. So Mario and all his friends are there to pull you into a brand new world. As you walk into the park, you will enter an entire realm filled with the iconic Nintendo excitement, gameplay, heroes, and villains.
I'll do it.
Yeah, dude, especially if there's like a coaster where you go through a pipe.
Is Bowsette going to be there?
I'm sure that I would. I mean, there will probably be people dressed up as Bowsette there for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, Disney's getting slaughtered by Hagrid right now. Harry Potter.
Yeah, I had an interesting interaction with the Harry Potter ride. I guess it was a green screen one it wasn't a real roller coaster. It was just like the simulated thing. Made a mistake of going on there with some friends of mine after doing the Dueling Dragons back to back. That wasn't that smart. It was, again, it's not a roller coaster, but I didn't quite get sick, but I was concerned for the person next to me.
Was that the train that connects the two?
It was the Quidditch game thing where you're moving back and forth and up and down and side to side. It's just it wasn't good for me.
Yeah, I don't usually like those rides. I don't like the Spider-Man ride in Universal with you put the 3D goggles on and it like jerks you around. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Put me on a roller coaster any day. I don't like that looking at a screen.
Yeah. You know what I do really like? I like the Mummy ride at Universal. That ride is freaking awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I do the Mummy? I don't remember. Huh.
It's across the water from like the Simpsons area.
I did the Simpsons ride. That was a mistake. That was a waste of time for me.
Did you do the Transformers one?
I did not get to do Transformers. It wasn't open when I was there.
Oh, okay. So you were there a while ago then.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Okay. So the Mummy might not have been
probably
operational then either. But I will say that probably like one of my favorite rides at Universal is the Men in Black ride. You shoot the gun at the aliens.
Okay.
You sit in the car and you shoot the gun.
Yeah. Again, I've seen it. I don't think I went on. I focused on the Hulk. I love the Hulk.
The Hulk. Yeah, the Hulk coaster is awesome too. Especially if you've never been there before.
Oh yeah. I've been there a couple times. But a friend of mine, he doesn't like roller coasters, and we kind of we belittled him until he got into line with us, and and we didn't tell him how it started. And that was the best part.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a good job of they do a good job of like making sure you can't tell how it starts with the overhang. All right, well, it is getting late. It is 11:30 here on the East Coast. I know it's still early for you, Don, out there in California. But it is getting late here, and I think we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We really appreciate having you all here with us and listening to us talk about all the stuff, Star Wars, Marvel, all that fun stuff. We do this every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. I'm really glad to have Don and Phil join us. We'll definitely have to keep you guys coming back every single week, hopefully.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
So really quickly, some more breaking news.
No. Brie Larson.
So since I'm our resident video game writer here, we do have news about Jedi Fallen Order. Tomorrow, a new trailer for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is going to drop. So
Brie Larson.
No, it's with Joker, Cameron Monaghan.
Actually, no. They are teasing that Darth Vader may be in the game.
Are you going to have to pay for him?
Well, I mean, Vader is the head of the Inquisitors, so it makes sense. But anyhow, there's going to be either way a new trailer tomorrow, guys. So for any of you out there that are gamers, I'll make sure as soon as I see the new trailer, I will write up something about it. Maybe we'll go live and do a little reaction video.
Wait,
that would be cool, dude. Yeah, definitely.
What's that, Don? It's EA.
Oh,
yeah, an EA
okay.
game.
Yeah, it's a loot box. Here's
Wolf an RPG though. I don't.
It's a single player adventure game.
What is it? It's EA's publishing it, right? But it's like Respawn.
Respawn's doing it.
Oh, Respawn.
Yeah, Don. When I saw the gameplay and stuff for this game, it looks a lot like it plays a lot like Uncharted.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks like Uncharted with there's a lot of platforming elements similar to Assassin's Creed too.
Yeah,
Look like, but yeah, Uncharted is probably a better comparison.
it kind of had a little bit of a feel like the old Prince of Persia too, because there's like a couple instances where you can like wall run, which is pretty neat. So yeah, there's gonna be a new trailer for it tomorrow. So guys, make sure you look for that. And as John said, maybe we'll go live and do a quick react to it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely be looking forward to that. I've been looking for a good Star Wars game. But yeah, so we do this every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And as Drew just mentioned, we will also do we'll do live reaction videos throughout the week. Yeah, and then we have articles on the website every day. I think Philip has an X-Men article waiting for me to edit. I think you put that in right before you came on. Don is
most 90s X-Men ever. I love it.
Don is working on I'm actually looking forward to that too. I love reading your articles. Don is working on
making that money. It looks like he's working on.
Yeah. I think what do you got, a Moon Knight article? Is that what it is? It's a Moon Knight rumor. What was it? No, Black Widow, a Black Widow story. So that should be interesting.
I've got that somewhere in the drive. Yeah.
Yeah, and Drew will be working on that. What's the game? What is it called? The Jedi Apprentice or something?
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order. But the guy, he's like a Jedi. He's like a Padawan. But yeah, so that's what we got looking ahead for tomorrow. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
All right, peace. Thanks.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night. Get your loot boxes ready for EA.
Definitely got to pay for Vader.